This configuration fits for getting into the rocket, the fairing of our launch vehicle, but it's not going to stay that way. You can see how the two parts really mate together. You've got the anchor station on the bottom, and then the what we call the LiftPort. That's the operation center, if you will, of being on the surface of the moon. Those two parts mate together, and that's important. But they are actually designed as separate assets because they're going to change out over time. Then we drop down these wings, these platforms. This is both a way of getting to and from the surface to the LiftPort, but it's also operationally important. It's energetically important because those wings have solar panels on them. Now, of course, they're going to get dusty. We've got robots climbing around on the surface of the moon, climbing back and forth. So that's going to change over time as a short-term solution, probably. But it's a starting point. And that brings us to what we refer to as Sputnik-like simplicity. A lot of the things that we are working on are not permanent solutions. They are, I won't say easy solutions, but less complicated solutions. And the reason we refer to Sputnik-like simplicity is that that was a system that was very bare bones. It was only the most essential elements and nothing else. And that's really how we're approaching this. So we want all the things that we're doing to be as simple as possible that still allows everything else to work. So this robot is going to scurry around the surface of the moon. Now, full disclosure, robots are not our strength. Now, we're very good at robots that climb up and down string, but other people are much better than us at rovers and rover technologies. So consider these to be very, very rough draft ideations. But we know we're going to have to scurry around the surface of the moon. We know we're going to have to pick up rocks. We know we're going to have to scoop some stuff up, and we're going to have end effectors that pick up other larger rocks. So what are we picking up? Well, everybody talks about lunar mining. Nobody really talks about how that's going to happen. Honestly, it's pretty much an unsolved problem right now. Everybody has ambitions, but nobody has specificity on how they're going to enact those visions. Some things that we've thought about was interchangeable end effectors, grippers that can do different tasks. Can these robots work together collaboratively in a swarming function? We think they probably can. And then how do they do what they do, right? What do we need them to do? We need them to go ahead and capture samples, early samples of the moon. There's going to be prospecting. There's going to be surveying. We're going to be a part of that, but who knows yet whether we're going to be the main part. It's too soon to tell for that. But we do know that we need to get something from where it is on the ground to where we need it to be, first at the Lagrange point and then eventually back home to Earth. So how do we do that, right? We have to, we can't just drive up to it from the surface because that's where our anchor station is and we don't want anything to disturb our anchor station. So we're building that environment above the anchor station. That's the LiftPort. So the LiftPort in its earliest days is really about cargo transportation. It's about getting stuff from where it is to where we want it to be. And the robots will drive up the ramps, dock with the LiftPort station, and then they're going to drop their cargo down into these holding chutes. As they fill and fill and fill, it's going to take a little while. We don't really know how long. But then my favorite part of this happens. We lift off of the moon and climb towards the space station. Now, we haven't really talked very much about the lifter itself necessarily, but that's the part that I think we LiftPort are particularly good at. What with our heritage of building robots that climb string, we're pretty confident in that piece. So we make this 55,000 kilometer journey from the surface of the moon up to the Lagrange point, and somehow, insert magic here, we're going to connect in with the space station. We're going to process some of the ore, and then this part's always made me chuckle a little bit. When the artists first created it, one of the first people asked, why are we sending missiles back to the Earth? Because that's what it looks like. In reality, we're just sending cargo back home, and we don't really need a lot of help, because once you're past the L point, gravity takes over and you float gravitationally, you drop back towards the Earth. We actually will probably have to slow us down a little bit on re-entry, but that's a whole other problem. We think that the re-entry is going to be somewhat similar to the Hayabusa capsule returns, sample returns. So it's going to be in that general energy range. Back on the moon, even though the lifter robot isn't there anymore, there's still a lot happening. You notice the robot scurrying around. Look at the anchor station. Carefully, you can see that the robots are bringing regolith back to the lift port, and it's falling through the cargo chutes and enlarging the hill that we built, if you will. We're making a mountain out of a molehill. When we dropped the anchor station into the ground, that was kind of secure, but we want it to be very, very secure. So we are adding more and more mass over the top of the anchor station to solidify our position there. As I said, if something goes wrong here, then the rest of the system is basically going to fail. So those are the really big parts of this project. By no means is it the full details, but I just want to walk through the big ideas, because it's never really been done. I mean, I'm super grateful to the students, to the professor at Glasgow Caledonian University. They were amazing in this process. They gave me an audio file with sound, music. Again, credit to where it's due. Stellar Drone did a great job with the music on it. But I realized we never actually made it into an instructional video. There were no details assigned to it. So we really wanted to make that one of the first things that we did here. And again, credit where it's due. Canaan and Martin did most of the drafting of the imagery, and then the students took it from there. David Evans did a great job coordinating all of this stuff. And then again, credit where it's due, this really comes back to Jerome Pearson, who invented the lunar elevator, and then our larger team at LiftPort, Charles and Marshall and the rest of the folks who have taken these early ideas and expanded on them and gotten more technical veracity. So thanks for your time. We're going to extend this with even more in the next couple days, where we go into even more detail. But thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.